Good morning, everyone. I would like to call to order the West Haven Subcommittee of October the 20th. And at this time, and we do not have a quorum, but we are going to get started with the meeting for discussion purposes. We won't be taking any action items today as we don't have a quorum yet. And I am Kimberly Kennison. I am the co-chairing. I'm actually the designee for Secretary McCaw. And with me today is Christine Shaw, who is the designee for Treasurer Wooden. I don't have any opening remarks at this very moment. How about yourself, Christine?
I do not. Good morning.
So we're going to pass on agenda item number 2 because we aren't able to vote on the minutes, and move on for discussion of agenda item number 3 and for the corrective action plan for fiscal year 2019 of the audit findings. And at this time, the city did not provide any kind of formal update, so I'm going to ask Frank or the mayor to please give us a verbal update. But for these meetings, I just want to bring to your attention that it is important that we do get a monthly update in writing formally.
Okay, yeah, that's my fault. I had no changes to what I had reported last time, so that's why I didn't send it on. I don't know if Matt's on the phone.
Yeah, I'm here.
You had that one item, Matt, that was the software that was being researched?
Yes.
That kind of stuff?
We were supposed to get a list from the former auditor, Joseph Defani. He never provided one, so I'm going to take that up with our new auditing firm to see what their clients use for automated software for the student activity funds.
Okay.
And I plan on doing it this week since they're in house.
Okay. And I did speak to Corp Counsel Kim regarding putting out an RFP around the pensions to try to get them consolidated.
Very good. One other item. So I understand, so the open items are from prior month were the bidding documentation, and I'm assuming that where are you at with the new purchasing person? Because I know you can't devote anything, any time in that until actually the purchasing person would be hired.
Yeah, so the purchasing position, we have a person that will be doing that. He is currently in the payroll department, and so we're not going to let him leave until ADP is up and running.
Okay.
But he is going to slowly start to transition into that. I'd like to get him to start doing, not complete double duty, but at least start doing some things in the purchasing department. The prior purchasing person, as you know, moved to public works, so he's been kindly helping us out in his free time to deal with any purchasing issues that we have.
Also, Kim, the council, remember, didn't fund the purchasing position until January 1st, so we still have all of the rest of October, all of November, and all of December before the funding kicks in. So that's why we.
So, Mayor, we do understand that was there, but the MARB came forward and asked that this be reconsidered because of the audit findings, the auditing, and I would like this to be fast tracked so that, and I think that the entire MARB would agree with me. Finance is an area of criticalness, and we need to have these positions filled. So I know we put money down in contingency, and I think that it should be brought to the attention that gets released and we actually hire the purchasing person. So that this way Frank can pay attention and get this ADP project up and going, as well as address the audit findings. You need to have a solid financial office.
Kim, I understand all of that, but
well, City Council is on the phone today, Mayor, so I just want to make sure that they hear this message.
Okay, thank you, because I didn't realize, because we never know who else is on the phone other than us, so thank you. But I know that that's one of the problems is, the funding, plus the fact, the way our charter reads is that the only place we can take it is within that own budget up until the last year. But we can, as long as the city council approves it, we can, at least take it from wherever we have to and then replace it the last 3 months of the year from the contingency account.
So this town is being put in jeopardy by not having a strong financial team. And I will make sure that we have to bring this up to the full MARB if this doesn't get taken into consideration.
Understood, thank you.
Yes, we will do
You're
our best.
welcome.
I will share. Thank you.
Frank, that's really disturbing to hear, I'll be honest with you. The other items, I appreciate that you're going to get the RFP going on the investments. The other items, Frank, has anything happened as far as the personnel files of the finding for Allentown Fire Department personnel files? To me, that should be a very easy fix.
The resolution to that is actually once we get the ADP system running, all
Yep.
personnel information will be centralized.
Okay.
So that's the fix for that.
Okay. And so how about the hiring of the payroll position?
That's the benefits.
Is it
HR
payroll
benefits.
/ HR position?
I believe that that Beth has posted that position. We have nobody internally. We've gone through the internal people. There's nobody internally that can do that job.
Yeah, with respect, Ms. Kennison, Lee Tiernan, City of West Haven.
Hello, Lee.
Hello. We do still have public employee unions that are still legal in the state of Connecticut, and we have to deal with them when we do these hires. We have done that. We've gotten through that piece of it. The position's been posted both within the union and outside simultaneously because it is our anticipation, based on the way the job description is written, that we will not have an internal candidate any longer.
Okay.
But that had to be resolved with the union in advance so that it's properly choreographed so that things do go smoothly. We would anticipate filling that position within the next 2 to 3 weeks.
So, Frank, do we have a pool of, or Lee, do we have a pool of candidates from external, or that has not happened yet?
No, we had to resolve the union issue first. Otherwise, we would have been at an impasse.
Okay.
We would have had an external candidate we couldn't have hired.
Okay, understand.
So that was resolved last week. That's why I say Beth is posting that externally. If it hasn't already been done, it would probably be done.
I think it's already been done, but it's certainly done as of today. I think it was done last week, to be honest with you.
Very good. Mayor and Frank, I have volunteered my services to personally, since I have done these kind of system upgrades in the past, to interview the finalists if you so wish.
That'd be great, yeah.
What, the benefit coordinator?
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, that'd be wonderful. Thank you.
Absolutely. In fact, Kim, what our process is, and, this is the first time we've had new hires for certain positions. We're doing the same with IT.
Yeah.
I think what we'll do is when we get the initial resumes in, and we've been finding that maybe it's because of COVID, we don't know. But anyway, we've been getting a fair number, even though our salary is not always competitive. Once we whittle that, which we'll do quickly, 24, 48 hours, I'll send you the 6 to 8 candidates that we sort of will interview.
Very good.
I will text or PDF those files to you and then you can participate virtually. I'll probably try to keep it a small group, no more than 3 people on the interview process. But you would be one of the 3.
Very good. Are you going to, I'm assuming that, well, you're saying it's a small group. I'm assuming Frank would be there. Who is supervising this position after it's completed?
It will be in the personnel department. So currently it would be Beth Sabo or her successor.
Oh, all right. I thought it was my understanding that this position was actually a higher level than Beth Sabo, but maybe I misunderstood that.
We could put it, it necessarily requires records within that department. We could put it in Frank's purview, but it drifts, when we wrote the job description, it drifts too much, not only into personnel, where we would want Beth's oversight, but it's also going to require, because we're trying to do efficiencies with the Board of Ed, so it's also going to require interface with the Board of Ed as well.
Yeah, I agree. So I wasn't sure if I was assuming that somebody on the Board of Ed would also be participating.
Well, once we do that, again, there are certain union aspects to this, but once we get the benefit coordinator in place, then we're going to work out what duties are in Board of Ed, but they'll be combined duties, hopefully, so that we finally start to get efficiencies. But we'll work that out once we have the person in place. But yes, technically they will, I mean, look, we're looking for a person who works independently, frankly, but yes, they'll technically be supervised in personnel.
I guess I'm just questioning the benefit coordinator position. Do you know if this is the actual position that was recommended with the HR study? I want to go back and look at that.
Well, it's actually more expansive than what they recommended, because I don't think they factored in the ADP process. So we've factored in the ADP process to this position. So we want to leverage this position more than just the side, at least initially, until the ADP side is more digitized, and we're finding that the workload on it goes forward. We would anticipate an increased workload in the short run, obviously, and then once we have a better digital footprint, we would then reduce the amount of work.
So does HR report to legal, or does it, who does HR report to?
Beth Sabo would report to the mayor. Ultimately, it's a mayoral appointed position. But I mean, perfectly honest with you, I think Frank needs more supervisory support, would need more supervisory support for that position anyway. He's got a fairly large department and fairly large duties that he has to engage in. So to ask that he also supervise a new position that has to coordinate with the personnel office on getting records, I don't know if that's the best. I mean, you know, I guess we could hire yet another person to supervise the person, but you know, in the short run, we thought that, and again, with Frank's, I mean, Frank was consulted, Frank was participating in writing the job description. We went through this back and forth. We think it's the best use of our current human resource.
So my reason for questioning you is, as a prior CFO, I supervised payroll as well as HR, and my executive or the president did not supervise that. So that's why my reason for questioning this, as well as knowing that, you know, the HR consultant came forward with a lot of, I would probably call it, you know, HR 101 that is incomplete. Well, compliance. So those are some of my personal, you know, my personal and professional areas of worry.
Well, I don't know if I believe every area of the human resource report has been addressed. We should probably get you that summary, which Ms. Sabo has completed.
Okay,
that might give you a little better level of comfort. That's probably the missing piece here, and that's on us. We should have forwarded that up to you. Ms. Sabo completed it, has given it to us, but we didn't think to forward it up to you. So we will do that this week.
Okay, very good.
Kim, this is Michael. I don't mean.
Yes, Michael.
I just want to make sure that the roles are clear here so that we don't duplicate effort. One of the charges that you tasked me with was to have a report to you guys by November 15th on the status of the Human Resources Action Plan. Should I let this proceed, or should I work with them and incorporate this into what you were expecting from me on November 15th, or let them go down two parallel
And
lines?
with respect, before you answer, Ms. Kennison Lee Tarrant again, I would love to leverage this resource, so if he wants the quarterback getting that report to you, that would be better for all
Oh, I
of
didn't
us
say I
here.
wanted to do this, that I
Yes, I
felt
do.
had enough in
Yes,
my contract.
yes, Michael, I do want you to continue to do this and
Okay.
working with West Haven.
Yeah, okay, good, because I had set up some time with Lee, some time with Beth, some time with Neil, so that I could get a piece of all of this from them and then sit down with all of them and put it all together.
Very good.
Yeah, okay. So there-
Does anybody else have any questions regarding this item before I move on to another question of the corrective action plan? Okay. Frank, looking for an update on the capital assets. Do you plan to roll those into the financials properly this year for the audit?
Yeah, as far as I know, yes. I know Bob has requested lists of any changes to capital from every department, and I believe he has received that information. But I can
Okay.
follow up for you.
Yep, please do, because we want to make
Okay.
sure that this item gets closed for it's really about Allentown.
Allingtown, correct.
Okay,
Correct. And I believe they've sent him the information. I think the concern last time was that even though items were being added, the auditors weren't seeing anything coming off. You know, such as if they replace, they should be replacing their SCBA, the breathing apparatus, on a regular basis. So if blocks of that come off, even though they'd be replaced, they would still theoretically show the removal of the old items and the addition of the new items.
okay. Very good. Matt, on the education, I know I heard from you, but I do want to make sure that we get an update or a solution and progress is made on the education side, okay?
Yes, absolutely.
That's all I have that I can see that are open items for the corrective action plan. It looks as if 9 items will be closed. It looks as the prior year, there will be 6 items that could roll forward into the new year unless some of the items aren't satisfied. Moving on to agenda item number 4. Frank, can you give us an update on the Board of Ed, Matt, for your fiscal year end 2020 close and the audit process and how that is going?
Sure. So we are in the process of finalizing the entries to close the books. The auditors are actually here this week on site, so they have begun their on-site testing. We are still waiting for some data from external sources, specifically the actuaries on the OPEB information, the GASB and all the rest of it. So we're waiting for that. We just received, I believe Bob got it last week, finally received the claims information and the outstanding IBNR for heart and hypertension, as well as workers' comp, et cetera. So he's finalizing those reports, and as I said, I believe we are on track for a December 31st sign-off on the auditors.
Okay.
I have not heard of anything that would jeopardize that as of now.
They're on site this week, Frank?
They are. They are. This is the first time they are actually on site, with City Hall being restricted to outsiders. But they are on site, and they have begun collecting their various copies and journal entries and doing their on-site review.
Can you make sure that a closing meeting is scheduled for when they're ready to leave their off-site, and you can get a summary, you and the mayor? I know the mayor already knows this, to make sure that the closing meeting will be conducted and they give you a heads up of any findings that they have been aware of. We did this last time with, I apologize, the fire is going by. We did this last time with Joe, and so I think it would be helpful to do the same this time. And you know, I am open to joining that meeting
Okay, that'd
if
be great.
if the mayor wishes.
No, absolutely, Kim, we would love to have you at the meeting.
Thank you. All right, any questions for the city regarding their year-end close? Okay, let's move on to the HR Corrective Action Plan. We don't have a formal update. I'm assuming that not a lot has happened in this area, but I might be wrong now that Michael is back on board and, you know, boots on the ground. I don't know if you have any update on this, Mayor or Frank or Lee.
Yeah,
Lee's coming over.
I don't know if it's, I know it's at least 90% complete. Last I checked with Beth. It's probably 100 as we speak, but I will circle back and include Michael so that we can get you that report quickly.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure it's done.
Okay.
All the corrective action is done. Well, no, I take that back.
I would think not, because there were a lot of
Well,
steps.
no, we have little things. For example, there might be a city councilor who didn't do an I-9. So I would say if it's complete, it's 99.5% complete or something like that.
Okay. The ADP project is the next item.
Yep, so I sent actually this morning, I sent Julian, what we've started doing, and I think we mentioned this on the last call that we were going to, what we've started doing is we have weekly calls with ADP. In fact, it's scheduled for today, I believe, at 2 o'clock. Today or tomorrow. So it's weekly calls. Yeah, Wednesdays. It's a weekly call. It's ADP, myself, the mayor, Lee, and Neil. And it's more of an executive update and executive summary on behalf of ADP to let the mayor and Neil know exactly where we are in the process and to identify any potential stumbling blocks that they see. So this morning I sent you the recap that ADP sent to me, or sent to us, following last week's call. And as you can see, it lists out the areas that we've talked about. It's some of the items that we need to get resolved. For example, you'll see there the change champion role. We are actually going to be using the ADP team because we don't have the bandwidth in-house to do that. So we're going to use their team to actually begin the process of, for lack of a better term, marketing this to the employees and communicating that in January we will be going live, or December, we should be going live with this. Here's what it means to them. Here's why it's good. And so, so we're rolling with that information. We are trying to figure out how to capture the employee's time. And I think there's still discussion going on whether we need clocks for everybody. I know ADP does offer the ability either through their computer to log in and record that they are on site and working, or through an app on their telephone using, geofencing, and as long as they are inside the building, it will capture them and they can clock in, as it were. So we're trying to get that figured out. That is, in my opinion, that's a critical piece right now. Because I need to know how many clocks we're going to need from ADP. Right now, 6 is all we've got in the contract.
But we'll conclude that today. I'm meeting with Aaron and Doug.
Oh, okay.
We'll conclude that today.
And Ali has just indicated that should be concluded today. So we'll know who and where the data collection will be. And so for tomorrow's call, we should be able to update ADP on that.
Okay.
Now, as you'll see, ADP has indicated that they think that right now the project is in a yellow phase, and that's only because of the change champion that we didn't have in place, and so we've identified their people to do it. The clocks issue will be resolved, so that will allow them to begin moving forward with that. And the other open item with them is we need to get the individuals to log in and do some of the on-site training. Aaron has done that. Doug has started to do that, I believe. I logged in last week to take a look at some of the things. But we want to make sure that everybody who's going to be touching this product, at least from a lack of a better term, management perspective, knows what's going on and knows what the system can and can't do.
Do they have formal training or is it just online training?
It's both.
Okay.
It's both, but they were hoping, and I agree with them, right? The online training is great as long as because they can't get into the building yet. The online training is actually pretty decent. Plus, it allows for refresher courses as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think the online is great for the flexibility, but sometimes to actually have them build a presentation that will show you your town, your portal, your type of data as a sample, that can be very helpful.
Yes, and I would expect that to be part of what they'll provide in the Change Champion offering.
Julian, we didn't share this document yet with the people on the call today, right? With everybody?
No, I wasn't sure
Okay.
how it related to the
Yeah.
status update we got last time.
Yeah, right. I agree with you.
Yeah, we were not provided the same grid that they gave us last time.
Okay.
I did not get an updated grid from ADP, so that's why I had nothing to provide.
What about the benefit area? Number 2 on your note.
Benefits expertise. Matt specifically on the Board of Ed side. Yeah, I think this should access to dependent election data loaded into Workforce Now. Okay. Yeah, so I think Beth and her team will provide that expertise as far as the benefits go. On the Board of Ed side, they're reaching out to Matt and Aaron to make sure that the Board of Ed benefits are correct, with the expectation, of course, being that this would be an employee self-service system. So employees would be able to update and change their personal benefits as needed, going through the normal approval process within the system.
Okay.
Kim, it's Matt. I had a call with ADP yesterday. They gave me all the information to fill out all the beneficiaries for our employees and the dependents and plans, and try to build out the roles to have the employee self-service accurate for the Board of Ed. So I got all that stuff yesterday, and I'm working on that this week.
Okay. Very good. So to me, I feel like I don't have a good handle just based on this ADP, and it's making me a bit nervous. This is an enormous project, and it is also crucial for the success of the payroll and the HR part of it. So I am hoping that, Frank, I just feel a little, short-sighted and mayor, that I think that we need to make sure that we have a really good understanding of where we're at with the project, especially when we say that we're in the yellow zone and may not be able to get the paychecks completed as of the beginning of the year as planned. It's probably because you need the position filled is going to be my guess. I think that you need that on this project.
I agree. I
Okay.
think that's exactly why it is that the position hasn't been filled yet. We're kind of leveraging people part-time to try to do
And you're
it.
in the middle of audit.
And I'm in the middle of audit, yes. But, finance usually just sits around with their feet up anyway, so.
But
No.
we haven't officially moved the takeoff date, so we're still,
I
the
understand.
target is still the target.
No, what I'm trying to allude to is the fact that if you had those experts in hand already going into the project, then it would be, you need that set of hands and the expertise to take on this enormous project. So I think that you're hurting yourself if we don't get that position filled ASAP. That's all. And I want to make sure that this works. It works smoothly for the city of West Haven, and it feels like it's a challenge right now.
Yeah. It's a heavy lift, but we're moving forward with it.
Okay.
It's not the biggest challenge we face, so bad worse.
Jim, in fact, that's why I had, originally, we were meeting every 2 weeks with ADP, and when I sat in on the first meeting, I was the one who pushed for it to be a weekly meeting, because I do agree, we want this to run smoothly, and we're doing our best to, get it complete, and they are going to give us additional services, as Frank had mentioned, as far as, education and different things like that, so we can use their services to help, assist us until we have the benefits coordinator on site.
Okay. Perfect. Any questions for the committee or others? Quiet meeting today.
Yeah.
You're doing a good job, Kim.
Mr. White, you're here? I thought you were taking a nap.
So I just woke up briefly.
So let's move on to the next agenda item, and this definitely might, get Mr. White awake here and hearing from the other side. The next item we want to talk about is the Siegel analysis, and for the Board of Ed. Julian provided us with a quick summary. We're not here to really talk about this report in full detail, but we do want to have a discussion today to really prepare for the next meeting, because Mike Malone just getting back, I would like him to do an analysis comparing this report to the prior reports and get his arms back around this partnership, and that's what he's been asked to do. So Julian, you can at least give us your summary, and then we can ask for a little bit of discussion around this so that we can prepare for the next meeting.
Sure. So I didn't actually provide a summary of the findings.
No,
I
no.
think there's a lot that
The steps.
yeah, there's a lot in here that needs to be unpacked and viewed in the context of some of the other analyses that we've received over the last probably year or so. But I did lay out just a timeline that's consistent with the timeline that we have asked Michael Mylone to work with in proceeding with some of the partnership analyses and what decisions would be made going forward. So you have the Siegel analysis. We'd be looking to get a presentation of their findings at the November subcommittee meeting. That's scheduled for the 17th. And then at that point, and some of this can be happening simultaneously, but then we'd be looking to get recommendations through a team effort with the Board of Ed, the city, and Michael on, what decisions or what changes, if any, to make to plan design. Going forward, we'd be looking for at least an initial set of recommendations by the end of the calendar year. And then if any changes are proposed, we want the transition plan completed by the end of February. So that's just a rough timeline of how this could proceed. In advance of the November subcommittee meeting, I know that I have some requests for additional data or additional backup. If any of the subcommittee members have any questions that they would like specifically addressed at the November subcommittee meeting, if you can get those questions to me, and then I can channel them to Michael and Siegel and the Board of Ed and make sure that they're addressed in the presentation in November.
Julie and Bob, I will send you a note, but I spent a little bit of time taking a look at the April 17th Siegel memorandum, and quite frankly, I had a lot of trouble understanding it. So whatever is presented to the subcommittee next month, I would really appreciate it if it led off with the bottom line. We think that transition to the partnership is a good idea. We think it's a bad idea because, I mean, they just got, here's my projections, and I think that my projection is a little different from theirs because we considered this, that, and the other thing. I mean, that really isn't helpful. I mean, there may be people that understand this a whole lot, and I know there's people that understand this a whole lot better than I do, but I just would like a recommendation.
Understood. Okay, right. Clarity in the findings and the recommendation will definitely be part of the deliverable.
Correct, because we've been going around and around and around about, and Michael is to try to help us with this on the different assumptions, and they're doing it this way and that way, and enough already. So okay.
Matt, I would please ask you, we will make sure that we give a reminder out to the superintendent, but please make him aware that it would be important for him to be at the next subcommittee because we're going to be probably asking for a presentation from the Board of Ed to come, either from Siegel. Michael Mylone will definitely be doing an overview of both, so you'll have a coordination, but he can, the superintendent can decide who will be doing the presentation and the recommendations.
Sure.
Kim,
So we will need him present.
Kim, this is Michael. I knew this was a priority for the next meeting, so I am meeting with Neil Cavallero on Thursday morning.
Very good.
This was one of the major things I just wanted to talk to him about so that I can get involved with him that avoids the possibility of working at cross purposes. And I also want to talk to Terry DeMatti. I have talked to Lockton and to Seth, and he's getting some additional information. Some of the some of the rates just didn't make sense to me. I didn't understand them. So there needs to be some obviously more information for everybody before anybody can feel comfortable and feel as though they can make some recommendation. Because I think Bob White's points are very, very much accurate and certainly of concern, because there's a lot of fog in this stuff. And I don't mean that in the wrong way. It's just that depending upon we're working with analysis done, and then you have to try to reconcile, you know, two different approaches. And I think therein lies the reason why Neil was uncomfortable in the first place when he was looking to make the transition, because of that very problem of trying to reconcile two consultants' varying analyses of this stuff. So hopefully we're at a point where I think we can all pull it together.
Yeah, Michael, you know, again, you make a decision, because you know, you've been the clearest of the bunch. And if, you know, if it makes sense for I know this is often not a good idea, but for the two consultants to be in the room with you and the superintendent, and to just kind of figure out where the differences are. And, you know, sometimes if there's a difference in assumption, that can be a business decision as to which assumption you go with. But it's not clear to me at this point. So good.
If I may ask, this is Christine.
Page match.
Go ahead, Christine.
Christine Shaw here. So I have a process question. I mean, if we're dealing with a battle of the consultants, shouldn't we get a recommendation not from Siegel or other consultant, but from the superintendent and the city? I mean, I feel like they're closer to the issues in terms of the implications of the differences in their approach and methodology. I just don't know if I think it's appropriate for the consultant to be making recommendations directly to MARB.
Understood. And so the consultant was hired by the superintendent, and that's why the superintendent needs to be there of his choice of who will be doing the presentation, so that we can come up with the conclusion of the recommendation.
Christine, to the extent that I suggested that it be the consultant's recommendation, you're absolutely correct. It's got to be the superintendent's recommendation. But to the extent he is relying on a consultant's report, I'd like to see the consultant's report geared toward advising the superintendent as to which course he should take. But no, I do agree it should be the superintendent's recommendation.
Agreed. Okay, thank you.
Any other discussion about Siegel report or the partnership and the avenue that we're going to take? Julian, what would be helpful to make sure that you have your information by, so that it's collected and be able to be presented back to the superintendent, or if he's having Siegel present, whoever he's going to have present, so that they make sure that they answer the questions of the MARB. Do you have a specific time set that I think that we would want to get the information by?
It would be great to have it by November 3rd, and you know, that would give them 2 weeks to have a response prepared. But obviously, if you have questions that are already that you've already thought about, then by all means send them along to me as you think of them, and we'll get them working on it.
Perfect.
Just a question. Are we agreed on what the criteria is for the decision? Is it simply that the partnership plan would be less expensive in the short to mid-term? Or are there other things that the MARB is looking for, or maybe superintendent?
I can't speak on behalf of the superintendent. I know the reason why we didn't move forward earlier was that it wasn't advantageous, is what we were hearing in the numbers, that there
Right.
was going to be greater savings if they stayed where they were, and keeping the two pools separate. That's what I recall.
Right.
But in my brief overview of looking at the Siegel report, I'm not sure if that's accurate or not. So I would be wondering if what was thought versus results are in line.
Kim, this is Michael. I think.
Yes, Michael.
There were two things that, were of concern to the superintendent. One was especially the IBNR, and while I think he recognized the fact that there was gonna be savings no matter how you cut this, the biggest frustration was we had two consultants and they had varying estimates of what would be saved, and he never felt as though he could actually feel comfortable with one or the other of the numbers to wanna go ahead and move this along. But the other big sticking point was the IBNR. So I think we're a lot closer between Lockton and Siegel in reconciling these differences and how their perception of how to treat stuff is handled in the report and so on. And I think we can resolve that relatively quickly. The issue of the IBNR, though, is still going to be, I think, obviously a concern of his. But those are the two sticking points the last time. And also, he had just moved I think the teachers to the HSA recently, and they were saving a significant amount of money, and he just didn't feel that it was likely to make another change as well.
And my recollection is that the IBNR is in the budget is that correct?
It is for the city of West Haven, but I don't, the Board of Ed, they did not put that in there, to my knowledge, because they weren't going to change
Oh, okay, understood. Just, it's a moving target, but at this point, it's not in there for the board. Okay.
No, and I'm thinking that if the report comes forward that you would have savings with making the change, why wouldn't the savings that you make for making the plan change actually go towards paying down the IBNR?
Okay, that should be included in whatever's coming in November. Good.
Any other discussion? If not, then I would, no motion because we do not have a quorum. This is a meeting of discussion. Then I would suggest that we adjourn for today.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you. Take care.
Thank you.
Thanks. Bye.